All right, so what's really, really funny is I did my intro and I said that there's always an issue with every live stream, the maiden voyage on every single live stream. So the no audio issue, there we go. we had to have one. If that's all it was, luckily that'd be pretty easy. So hopefully everything's coming through now. I'm just gonna wait on you guys to let me know that the audio is now okay. There we go. Okay. Alrighty. Yeah, for some reason OBS just magically decided instead of using the Wave 3, which it's been doing forever, you know, for the podcast and all my recordings, it's just like, no, we're going to switch to default. Come on, silly. And yeah, so obviously that didn't work out so good. So, found hearing aids. Thanks. You know, good job, Nathan. All right, so according to this, we got 6 of you guys watching. I like to know how many people they like to knock off. YouTube usually goes, oh, you have like 20 people waiting for you. And then when you go live, you have like 3 or 4. So, alrighty guys, I'm going to go ahead and redo my intro for you. So this way you guys kind of know what I was saying. So I want to say hello everyone and welcome to the very first episode of the Good Old Gamer Live. So this channel is basically going to be you, me, and all of us, the community, just hanging out, doing some stuff. I'm going to do some benchmarking and testing. Today we're going to be testing some GPUs. We're going to be taking a look at the GTX 1080 Ti. We're going to see how that compares to more modern GPUs that are roughly the same price or in the ballpark at this point in time. So the 1080 Ti is and was probably, in my opinion, the greatest flagship GPU there ever was. And it's still kicking. I can tell you that much already. But we'll just see how it holds up next to the Radeon RX 6600, which is cheaper, and to the RTX 3060, which is more expensive. So this way you guys kind of know if maybe this isn't a bad option for you. And then obviously the footage and the numbers and stuff that we have will eventually turn into main channel content. But yeah, so figured let's go ahead and jump on in, start testing some stuff, and you guys can join me and we can see how this goes. Dr. Fresh, what's up, man? And Denver, did I tell you I got 68 gigabytes per second with the Kingston Fury 5000 on Alder Lake? It still doesn't beat the apparently very poorly tuned 4933s. Well, okay. I mean, that's high bandwidth. I don't know, man. The more I look into it, I've been talking a lot to Ivan over at Frame Chasers because I was like, all right, I want to basically buy cheap stuff and get maximum performance out of it. So by doing that, you need to tune. You definitely need to get in there and you need to start tuning stuff. So I'm like, all right, let me chat with Ivan and go ahead and kind of figure out some of his little quirks. Obviously, memory tuning is one of the big ones, especially for esports and stuff like that. So yeah, what I'm starting to notice, he actually just came out with a video which really kind of highlights the bandwidth and cache and all that sort of stuff. It's very game dependent. Some games are going to prefer memory bandwidth. Some games are going to prefer low latency. Some games are going to prefer high levels of cache. Some are going to prefer certain combinations of the two. Some want all of it. So yeah, it's just very use case dependent on which one's better, either the higher bandwidth or the lower latency. But I do want to say my X79 DDR3 system with quad channel is still pulling higher bandwidth than you with DDR5. So just needed to throw that out there. I'm really excited for the X79 stuff. Super surprising. I didn't want to test all these things before I started the live stream, but I had all these computer parts laying around and I'm like, well, I got to check them to see if they work. Yeah, it turns out they all work, and then I started playing with them. So I'm a little ahead of the curve here, but we will be doing all of that stuff live as well on the channel. That's why I bought all that stuff. And then, of course, as I did my testing, I'm like, well, now I need this because I want to see how it compares, and I need that. So yeah, as this is a new channel, we need to get to 4,000 watch hours before we can get super chats. But if you do want to help and support or anything like that, you can do so. I do have a PayPal link down below. Fortunately, that's the only way that'll go. Just make sure you put a message in there at Good Old Gamer. Hey, I did PayPal, and I'll go ahead and read those. So until we get that up and running, that's the way we'll have to go. But I invested tons of stuff. We got tons of content, so we're good for a while. All right, so let's see what you guys got going on here real quick, and then I'll show you the parts. I got a cool little setup. Maybe I'll do like a video for members, Patreon members and whatnot, showing you guys how I have this. It's a little Jimmy rigged right now, I'm not gonna lie, but it'll definitely serve the purpose. Chris is starting to get it. You're gonna max out your 6600. We're not gonna do any overclocking today on the GPUs. We're just gonna see how they are out of the box. So it's just gonna be stock versus stock versus stock. However, of course, you know, we can always do a max OC on each of the GPUs in the future. I'd probably want to tune them off screen just to kind of figure it out, because if I start getting crashes and whatnot, that could be kind of bad. I just kind of want to make sure that they're kind of running right. But, you know, we can do a little bit of tuning, obviously, here. But, for example, like doing memory tuning, it's tedious as shit. It takes forever. I mean, maybe I'll do a video on it at some point for you guys that are like, how do you do this? How do you max out your memory and stuff? But it's super, super tedious. It takes a lot of time. So maybe we'll do that one once. But GPU overclocking, we could probably dabble. That's just not today's video. Let's just put it that way. I'm just not there mentally. I'm like, let's do what we need to do here today. Denver, what are you pulling with quad? I was more saying that the Fury Renegade cost $319 for 68 gigabytes, 57 nanoseconds, and the B die only cost me $89 to $99 for 73 gigabytes and 49. Yeah, well, the B dies. All right, let's start with this because there's a super deal. So if you guys are out there and you're like, what are you talking about, RAM, or you know, you want to maximize your system and you don't have Samsung B die, well, now's the time to get it. Let me pull this up and switch over to screen capture. So over here on Amazon, I just put the link to this in the description if you want to pick these up. So these are the kits that Denver has that he's talking about. So this is the Patriot Viper Steel DDR4 16 gig kit, 4400 megahertz. These are CL 19, 19, 19, and 39. So that's pretty darn good for 4400 megahertz. That's at 1.45 volts. So it's pretty much hitting the max in terms of voltage, unless you want to actively cool them. But here's the thing. You now have a $12 coupon. I'm going to be picking some of these up. I already have 2 kits. I'm going to pick up 2 more because this is a great deal. An extra $12 off. These were $110 just a few days ago. Denver bought 4 kits because that was a good deal in his eyes. This is a way crazy deal. So if you want to upgrade your RAM and not spend a bunch of money, basically get the best DDR4 for a reasonable price point. Yes, you can get the 2x8s, but they cost like $250. So this is a really good way to go if you're interested. Links are down below. It does help out the channel if you use the affiliate link, so I appreciate that. But effectively, that's what we're going to be using today. I got the 4000 kit. So, all right, anyways, let's switch this on over to this guy. All right, so we'll go over some of the stuff that we're working with here. Get rid of that so I'm not super bright. All right, let me slide on over to the test bench. So, see, this is kind of cool. So now I'm over here. All right, so as you can see, we have the Patriot Viper. Let me see if that can come in here. These ones are the DDR4 4000 CL19s. These are 1.35 volts. So there's extra room there. It's the same die. It's just that these were cheaper when I bought them. Now the 4400s are cheaper, so I would definitely recommend buying those. And then, of course, we have our test system here. We have I'm going to be using the Core i3 12100. Now, I wanted to make that the first video and show you guys how that compares to the 3700X, but my 3700X numbers are so low in comparison, I need to rerun those. So I don't feel comfortable using that system to test GPUs. I'd rather use this. That's how impressive the 12100 actually is. Believe me, it's not going to bottleneck any of these GPUs. Not at 1080p or 1440p anyway. You go down to 720p, maybe. But, you know, that's just for science. Nobody's actually going to game at that resolution. Now, the motherboard here, I do want to talk about this for a sec. I don't know if I can get this all on camera. I'm using kind of a weird test bench. So this is the Gigabyte B660M DS3H DDR4. This was the second cheapest B660 board that I could find. Do not buy this motherboard. Just don't do it. This motherboard is really, really stupid. So I had the memory running at, was it 3600 CL14. It was 14, 14, 14, like 28 or something. And it was 100% rock solid stable. I went ahead and took it off the platform, put another motherboard and stuff on there, put it back on today. It wouldn't even post. It took me 2 hours getting this thing back up and running. There's no way to overclock the IMC on the CPU, so I can't get any higher frequency out of it. I would not recommend going with this board. Unfortunately, eBay was where I bought everything, so this way I could put everything on a no interest deal that they have. But if you're going to be buying a B660, get the MSI board. I think it's the B660 whatever dash A, Pro dash A, I think. It's $10 more, and I think it's going to be way better. I'm thinking maybe I'll pick one of those up. But yeah, don't buy this motherboard. So, hey, that's one thing that we learned. And then, of course, we have one of the stars of the show, the Geforce GTX 1080 Ti. This is the EVGA SC model. I picked this up a month and a half ago. My time, being a dad, your sense of time goes away. But I'm pretty sure I got this month and a half, maybe 2 months ago. I got it for about $400 back then. These are selling for $350-ish now, so they have come down quite a bit. So that's why I wanted to compare it with these guys. And then we have the RX 6600. This is the PowerColor Fighter version. I got that for $280 shipped on eBay. And yeah, so that's significantly less than this. Well, I guess $70, but whatever. In terms of this, that's quite a bit. So that right there is going to be your budget option. So I want to see how close it gets. And then a viewer actually cut me a pretty good deal on this. Whoop, I'm hitting my own fans. So this is why normally I have a lower test bench so I could do this better. But I got the X79 on that right now. But anyways, then we have the EVGA RTX 3060 XC. And anyways, the viewer gave me a good deal, $300. And I want to say thanks for that. That was awesome. And yeah, so that one is regularly going for about $450. So we have $70 cheaper. Yeah, that's not in frame. So we got about $70 cheaper to about $100 more. And like I said, this is kind of your middle of the road option. So that's why I wanted to test these out. All right, guys, I can't see the chat from here. I'm too far away. So I'm going to go back and see what you guys have to say. And then we'll start testing. Yeah, I should probably put a monitor. Oh, I should also change OBS. So yeah, I should probably put a monitor over here so this way I can read your guys' chats while I'm testing. I suppose I could have put it up on this one, but this is where the pass-through is going to go for that, so I don't know. I'll figure it out. You know, first steps, doing a completely different thing. I'll find new and better ways to do this. Nice prices. Yeah, I mean, I got lucky, you know, on some of those. But like I said, the 6600 I just got on eBay. So this is something any of you guys can do. Just got to keep your eyes open. I've seen them for $300 pretty regular, but you could buy them new for $330. I'd say you need at least that $50 discount for used to be worth it. Just get 3200 CL14 B-die. I would not recommend that. It's still B-die, so it should clock about the same. I don't know. Personally, the best kit is probably the DDR4 4000 CL16 kit that they had. It was actually the one Ivan recommended to me, but it ended up being about $20 more per kit. So I was like, I'll save the $20 and gamble. But getting CL16 at 4000 guaranteed by the factory is the best. I would say the 4400 kit is probably the second best. The kit that I got's third best. And then you can kind of go down the line. But yeah, I mean, if you have B-die, technically it should be the same chips, and it should do the same things relatively close. You might need a little bit more voltage, you might need a little less voltage, but theoretically it should do the same thing. Chirpy, howdy. And Northern, welcome, buddy. Yeah, we're getting the boys in here. Feels like it's my Discord chat. Yeah, not gonna lie, I thought we'd have a few more people. I know this is kind of late at night. I was kind of interested to see how that goes, but I know a lot of you guys on Discord, you're usually in there. So if you guys, well, we have way more likes than we have viewers. So if you haven't already, please smash the like button. Please share this around on social media if you find value in this type of content. And if there's anything, you know, I can do to improve it, let me know. Because like I said, this is a new thing. I have never done kind of a multi-tier thing on a live stream before. Can the IMC even handle 4000 on Zen 3? If it's top binned, yes. Theoretically, it can go up to 4000, which would be IF 2000. That's the best of the best of the best. We were talking about the 6950 XT reviews today. Apparently, that's what Tech Power Up did use. They used a 5800X with the Infinity clock at 2000. So, yeah, they can be done. That's like the best case scenario, though. Most of them will hit 1900. But the main reason to get these kits of memory, no matter how fast you can run, like right now I'm just doing 3600, but I'm running 3600 at CL14. See what I'm saying? Like no other kit that I'm aware of can do that, especially not with as tight of timings. Now this isn't completely tuned. I only did primary timings because like I said, the motherboard is just bad. It's just really not good for tuning. It's really not good for overclocking. And then, like I said, just getting it back to this, which was perfectly stable, took me 2 hours. So with a better motherboard, yeah, I could probably get even better than this. So let's go ahead and, since we're talking about memory and timing and tunings, let's go ahead and jump over to the PC. Let me make sure I'm centered-ish. See, this is one of those things. Why is the PC not showing up? Oh, it's probably because it went to sleep. That would make sense. Let me switch this over. Got me a USB switch. I need to switch this monitor so I can see what the heck I'm doing. I was thinking about getting a keyboard tray that came out and just having two different keyboards and mice, but I don't know. I'm kind of a tall dude and it would just be a little cumbersome. So just using a USB switch. So take me a second to kind of go back and forth. I do want to get OBS out of my way on this machine so this way I can read what you guys got going on. And then we're going to mute this because you're using the speakers. So let's just go ahead and run an IDA here. I'll show you guys what we got. So on terms of latency, I just do the latency test. You can run the whole thing if you want, I suppose, but I should not be moving the mouse. So that's 56. Yeah, let me do that again. I guess I could talk. You know, it's just like, don't move, don't breathe. 55.3. Yeah, so basically, it's not the best. Like I said, kept running into issues with this particular motherboard, but it's not bad. Realistically, with Alder Lake, the best of the best of the best, like the absolute best case scenario is apparently about 43. You're not really going to hit it on IDA. Ivan told me to use this instead, this Intel MLC. And this one will come up with more consistent, like IDA will change the numbers as you just saw if you breathe near it too hard. Apparently this is just a much more consistent benchmark. So if you're really trying to push for the absolute lowest latencies and you're using an Intel platform, I would recommend using this as well. It's been working fine for me. So we got our bandwidth and then, all right, so 52.2. So on this one, 43 is about the best of the best of the best that you're going to get. So we're not there, but we're not bad. It's okay. Denver saying go to 1.5 volts. You can do that, but you're definitely going to want a fan on your RAM. I guess you can get away with it. I have obviously the open test bench. There's no airflow coming in. I guess if you have case fans and stuff blowing on it, that'd probably work too. All right. How is the overall performance with the... Okay, you're talking to Denver on that one. Have you set your Windows to gaming mode? I have set my game mode on, and yeah, I'll do a Windows tuning guide here in the not too distant future. But yeah, we have game mode on. We have ultimate power. Yeah, Windows is clean. This is a new setup. You can see here, all we got is Afterburner. We got the driver for the NVIDIA card. That's it. Updates disabled, all that stuff. I'll do a how to set up Windows 10 guide here in the future. I'll do Linux as well, you know, how to set up Linux and do that sort of stuff. Because I know a lot of you guys are kind of interested and want to start trying Linux, which now is a good time because it's good. It's not, I wouldn't say that it's ideal yet for most people. And if you're somebody who wants max performance, you're stuck with Windows. But for now, Windows 10 is still perfectly fine. So yeah, stick with that. All right, we're up to 15. All right, we're getting there, guys. So thanks for smashing those like buttons. Okay, so we got all that done. You guys want to run some benchmarks? Want to do a thing? One of the easiest ones, well, let me plug this in. I like using a controller for benchmarks because, you know, I don't really have to pay attention. Plus, it looks smoother on camera. So let me plug this guy in. Alrighty, so the one that I like to start with is our good friend Watch Dogs Legion. Watch Dogs actually scales really well with a lot of things. Now, it's not a game that I particularly like, and one could argue that why would you want to benchmark games that you don't like? Well, there are some games that are just good for benchmarking, like Shadow of the Tomb Raider is another good one, because it just scales well with things, so it kind of shows you how things work relative to each other. But you can take like the general performance of that. Now, esports games, I'm not an sports guy. I don't even know how to test those. However, I do have StarCraft 2 in here for Paul. So we do have that. So if you're an RTS esports guy, you could kind of extrapolate from that, I suppose. All right, so let's do some Legion. I like this one because the built-in benchmark is just solid. Most of the rest of the games don't have the built-in benchmark, or not one that I'd recommend using. Oh, Denver's in there schooling people. Schooling people on RAM. Right. I even technically have it set up. I can put the, you can have the test bench view covering up kind of the subscribe button down there. Good old 8 cores. Remember those days? I love it. Just less clutter on my screen. But I also like the performance. It would be interesting if they had a K-SKU for the quad core, just to see. Pillikun says he uses Assetto Corsa with modded car field. Up to 100 cars, see how the system performs. As it's so single-threaded, often get heavy stuttering, CPU. Yeah, it's funny because the best games to benchmark are the most poorly optimized, for the most part. It's like, the more jank the game is, the better it is for like CPU or GPU testing, because if it can run this jank-ass game, theoretically, it should be able to run not jank-ass games. I don't know. It's just kind of weird when you think about it because we're kind of incentivizing game developers to do bad. All right, so for other testing, I had to push. It's actually kind of nuts how CPU limited we are on a lot of these things. I got to set DSR. We'll just do 1080p for now. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, apply. But yeah, I was using DLSS performance or ultra performance mode and I had to drop to 720p with, so basically I was running like 240p to start seeing some differences on some games. It's kind of nuts. CPUs today are way more powerful than we need. All right, so for this one, what I like to do is just kind of keep it easy. Just go with high preset, so this way everybody at home can kind of do their own thing. Obviously, we don't have DLSS, so high preset makes sense to you guys for the game testing. Let me see. I'll give it a sec. Personally, I never game on ultra. I always do high or medium, or I do kind of a mishmash. If I have enough VRAM, you max out, obviously, your textures. Shadows, I usually do like medium, water, medium. Volumetrics, I like those, so I'll usually make those higher. But Jiraiya, what do you guys think about the notion that most people who buy a flagship GPU, 6950 XT, 3090 Ti, aren't playing 1080p when the statistics show most people are? If they're esports players, they might be playing 1080p. Single player guys at that level are probably at 4K. They're probably on an OLED. I would hope, because at that point, that's really kind of where you want to be. All right. Well, I'm not hearing anything about high, so I'm guessing you guys are good with that. That's typically what I use. So, all right, let's get the benchmark going. Any modern GPU, well, besides the 6500, anything better than, well, let's say anything better than the RTX 3060, you should see the same results with let's say a 3060 or even a 6600 as you would a 3090 Ti at higher resolutions. At that point, you have to be. But like I said, I was pretty surprised how crazy low I had to go to get differences, because we were just GPU bound. Like I said, running a 3060 at effectively like 240p, and there's still headroom. I'm like, geez, this is crazy. Neil, I rarely do notice a difference in visual fidelity between high and ultra, but definitely notice the FPS. Yeah. Oh, looks like we might have a crash. I think that motherboard might just be screwing me over on this one. We might have to loosen it up, or I may even need to switch RAM. Oh no, it crashed. Yeah, this is unstable. This is ridiculous. This is 100% stable the other day. I actually did all the benchmark not these tests comparing the GPUs, but I benchmarked using the 3060 on here, and it had no trouble. This is crazy. Also went through a 3-hour stress test. Passed, no problem. All right, so typically when I buy cheap new motherboards, they usually work out okay. Not so much. All right, so we're going to have to go ahead and loosen this up a little bit. The 12100, like I said, assuming the numbers that I did the other day are correct, is so much faster than a 3700X in gaming, it's not even funny. Now, granted, you could say like a 5700X is too, but I don't know. I think a tuned 12100 with a proper motherboard that doesn't screw up will probably, I don't know. I think I can get this to beat a 5800X or even a 5950X, because they're basically the same. The X3D, I think, is what it would take to actually beat this. But once again, see, that's something that I'd like to check. So we got the voltage is good. Where is it on this thing? Advanced memory. All right, memory timings, blah, 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 blah. All right, let's just jump it straight to 16. The difference in games don't really matter that much. It's not going to make that big of a difference. I'll jump you up to 54. Like I said, I didn't even have time to tune all the rest of these. Like this should come down to like 450, I believe, somewhere around there, but whatever. There's a lot more headroom in this, but as we're finding out, this motherboard sucks. Nils, turning game mode off wouldn't have an effect. Like I said, this was 100% stable the other day. It's just the board. Like I said, I've been dealing with this thing since I plugged it back in earlier today, getting ready for this, and it's just not good. The motherboards that support B-clock overclock, those are very expensive. But no, I'm pretty sure at stock 4.1, I can get a the 12100 faster than a 5950X in most games. And I have other evidence to kind of back that up, but I kind of want to save some stuff for the future. All right, so let's jump in here, jump in CPU-Z. Let me just make sure everything's doing the thing. So yeah, this is kind of what I do at night. Kid goes down, I do my testing. It's kind of fun having people to chat with. All right, so see, once again, didn't we change this to 54? I guess I could have typed it in wrong, but I don't know. That was the other thing. I set it to 14, 14, 14 again, and it would just keep pulling in at 16, 16, 16. It wasn't until I shut it down, went away for a while, turned it back on, that it actually did the timings that I set in the motherboard. Like I said, this thing is just not good. I may even have to just put in different RAM because I don't think this thing's going to be able to handle this. All right, well, let's try it again, boys. Pelican, my system just blue screened on this PC. Third time it blue screened since I installed Windows 11 on it. Not OCing or anything. Just my sleeping room PC. Yeah, Windows... No. Windows 11 bad. According to Ivan, you get as big of a performance hit jumping to Windows 11 in games as you do Linux. So if you're going to switch to an operating system, go Linux. Forget Windows 11. Especially if you keep Windows updates on. Now, security updates, those are okay. Those are handy. Those do a thing. But if you keep like the feature updates on, no, they're going to require logins and start spamming you with all sorts of junk. No thanks. No thanks. I'll stick with 10. I'm okay with 10. Takes a little setting up, but I don't know, 5-10 minutes. 10 is perfectly fine. Linux is great. I'll just move over to that. We'll have a nice day. Neil, I swear I'm the only person that's had zero problems with Windows 11. Connor from Graphically Challenged apparently had no problems with it, but seemed to be in the minority. Let's put it that way. I've had problems. Paul's had problems. Ivan's had problems. I don't know if Celso had problems. He didn't complain too much. A lot of you guys I know have had problems. I know in my Discord, there was one day it was like, oh, Windows 11 did this. It was like 5 or 10 of you guys having problems all the same day. So just stay away from it if you can. I know if you have the C1 OLED or the OLEDs, I know you want that auto HDR, but I would say it's not worth going to Windows 11 for. But that's my personal opinion. You're a grown person. You make your own choices. Pelican, yeah, if you have to use certain programs for work, I mean, dual boot. Just run the programs you need Windows for in Windows and do everything else in Linux. It'll get you used to Linux, get you used to the gaming and all that sort of stuff. And then if Microsoft does something that you're like, nope, I can't use your crap anymore, you just keep your Office stuff on like an old Windows 10 build, because that'll probably work forever. Work software usually doesn't need the latest versions of Windows. It has to work on the most stuff. Hell, most of that stuff still runs on Windows XP, honestly. So it'll be like 20 years before you'd have to even consider moving back to Microsoft. All right, let's see if this thing will work now, or if we have to go any lower. And if I have to go lower, I'm just going to go with stock standard 3200 and apologize for this crap-ass motherboard. I'm going to see if I can return this, honestly, because it's just not working. Nathan at me, do you think 240 is passable for dual rank 2x16 B die at 3600 CL14? Dual rank is faster at the same clocks. Preston, what's up, buddy? 240 is probably the best price for that there is. Then Nils is saying, or VMware. Yeah, I mean, there's other ways around. For me, dual booting is just easier, you know. At least with Pop, all you got to do is you hold down the space bar, and then it just gives you a window. And you can go, all right, do I want Windows or do I want Linux? Or you can set up a timer, so this way you can pick every single time. So either way, it's just whatever's easier for you. Or you can have two drives, you know, like my main system, you know, just hit F11 on boot, select your boot device, boot into the operating system you need, and just use like a cheapo, you know, small SSD for Windows, and then have your good SSD for your game stuff. Jiraiya, what brand motherboard is it? Yeah, so this is, I had it showing earlier. This is the Gigabyte B660M DS3H DDR4. Now, granted, I wasn't expecting much out of it, but I was expecting stable and having basic features, because B660 is supposed to have memory overclocking. Looks like we crashed again, boys. Look at that. Look at that. This thing is just junk. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to actually just swap out the RAM. Let's see. I did DDR4 3200, you know, just regular. You know what? Instead of that, this is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do. We'll keep the RAM. We're just going to basically have the same latency as DDR4 3200. This will work. We'll just use the XMP profile. That's what we'll do. So, Pilkin, Gigabyte seems like crap for RAM OC on Alder Lake. Yeah, I wasn't expecting much, but I mean, they don't even have like the basics, like the bare minimum basics. That's what's really kind of killing me. It's like, hey guys, Nils, gaming mode off. It does nothing, man. I've tested it before. There's no point in doing that. I must have hit shutdown. Come on, get into the BIOS. All right, are we there? Can I see a thing? See, we're already 40 minutes into this stream, and we haven't done anything. This is benchmarking, boys. This is benchmarking. You run into issues and you get nothing going. All right, there we go, finally. All right, so settings, tweaking. Well, I think we'll just do this for fun. I don't think I can make this main channel content with this board just being so stupid. So that means I have to do another video. It's probably going to be don't buy this Gigabyte motherboard. That's probably what my video is going to actually end up being. I have a sponsor spot, so I got to get a video up. And this, I don't know, I figured this would be a nice bit of content here. So we will load defaults. Always go to advanced. I don't know why there's an easy mode. That should never be a thing on motherboards. File 1. Check this out. I found this hilarious. So you check profile 2. It's 18, 22, 22, 40 at 3866. So you go down CAS 1, but all your other timings go up. I don't understand why. Why would you do that? That's just silly. So this is just going to run in Gear 2. But like I said, it'll run at least as good as DDR4 3200, maybe a little bit better. I tested it out the other day. It's very, very similar. Nathan, benchcast with T-Gog. That's about right, man. Just hanging out while I'm doing my work. Now just imagine Steve from Hub's 50-game benches. Yeah, but he's got his bench test benches all set up, ready to go, 100% stable. And then if he was seeing shit like this, guess what? He'd get rid of the board too. Because there's no dealing with this. All right, so just for shits and giggles, we're going to jump into IDA here. And we will do the latency benchmark. Well, we'll do the other one. We'll do the Intel one. It's a little bit better. Just to show the difference. This is basically what happens if you run XMP. Most systems, most RAM kits. If you run XMP, this is what you're going to be seeing. Could be you lost Silicon Lottery with DDR4 IMC. No, like I said, it was running perfectly fine at 3600. I mean, that's pretty bad in and of itself. So yeah, so 70 nanoseconds. This is typically what you get when you run XMP. So this is the main reason why running just XMP on your system and not tuning is quite bad. What is that? That's almost 50% worse. It's like 40%. So whatever. In terms of frame rate, it doesn't scale linearly because nothing does. But let's see if we can get through a benchmark. The Asus Prime DDR4 as well, of course. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh. Looks like you're chatting with the chat. Yeah, since you guys are chatting amongst yourselves a lot, do the @me, and then I know you guys are talking to me. So these cheaper boards, on the lock chips, you can run DDR4 4000 memory without hitting any limits, unlike B360. Well, you are hitting limits. Let me jump under CPU-Z. This is how they do it. B350 should do the same thing. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. Maybe it's before they changed it. But let's see. Memory. See, this is the difference. Memory controller frequency is cut in half. So if I was using Gear 1 on the RAM, this would be at 2000. It'd be like your Infinity Fabric going from, I don't know, 2000 to 1000. So like you definitely don't want to do this on AMD. You really don't want to do it on Intel either, but I want to show you guys some benchmarks, get some idea. At the very least, we can test out the 1080 Ti, show you guys that, and then we will redo this on a more stable test bench, and then I'll do the three-way shootout again, or I might do it on the 3700X, one of the two. But that's my main system, so that's what I'm doing the streaming with. So that would have to just be main channel content then. All right, games. Let's see. Let's see if we can do a thing. Let's see. Yeah, pretty big difference. Yeah, Gear 1 is what you want to run at. Like, you're better off running DDR4 3600 on Gear 1 than 4400 on Gear 2. Like, you really want Gear 1, but you can get just about anything to run here. And it's the same way on AMD. It does the same thing, except it hits the Infinity Fabric, which is more detrimental. So it's a bigger deal not to do it on AMD than it even is here, because that's effectively like your uncore speed, which is your cross-communication sort of stuff. So it does have an effect. It's just slightly less with Intel. Jiraiya, all motherboard manufacturers having problems with DDR4 memory overclocking support. I think MSI is currently the best. I would say no. I mean, most of them are pretty good. I mean, ultimately, it should come down to like the guys are saying, that it should be your IMC, your internal memory controller. That should be your limitation. The motherboard should not be getting in the way. And the fact that it is here is really bad. MSI Pro B660M-A. I think that was the one that I was looking at that was like $10 more. If I can get my money back on this, or I don't know, I got to do something because this is just junk. Yeah, $130 on Amazon. Yeah, like I said, I had to buy on eBay because I bought all the stuff on the no interest thing. I figured I could make money off the content, and then, you know, that basically covers any sort of like loss of having the money. So basically, I just felt like it'd be free money, which is always nice. All right, make sure settings are still the same. There we go. Can we do a benchmark? It should run fine now. I tested this out earlier when the motherboard was acting squirrely, and it worked fine. So this should work. Let's see. Denver, I just reinstalled the Renegade RAM 1 to 2, 5000 CL, 19, yeah. Basically the same bandwidth as BDI, but much worse latency. Guess I was in 1 to 4 before. Yeah, if you're, yeah, the worse you make that, the worse off it'll get. Ivan shills the hell out of the MSI A Pro boards. Yeah, I mean, for the money, they look pretty good. I had I forgot, the Tomahawk. That was the one Intel sent me. That worked perfectly fine. I had no issues with that at all. Now, I wasn't pushing memory super high because I did not have crazy memory to play with at the time, but it saved my settings. When I set something in the BIOS, it did it. This does whatever the hell it feels like for the most part. So, not good. Let's see. Only thing mad about it's the sound. I mean, most people are going to, I don't know, sound just isn't something that matters that much on the motherboard, I don't think. Hey, look at that. A successful benchmark. Okay, so this is how I normally benchmark this game. You run it once, you get everything cached, and then you run it again, and then those are the numbers that you use. There we go. No, we're not playing the game. I don't think I've ever played this game. All right. Chris, are you going to do some tutorials like how to dual boot builds, retro gaming build? Yeah, we'll do that sort of stuff. For X99, we will test and see if I can get XP to run on it. It's technically not supported, but I think I put slipstreamed in the right drivers, so I might be able to do that. And then technically, that system should be able to run just about everything. So that's still over there. And I'll have Connor on. We'll tune it first, and then we'll go ahead and do that sort of stuff. Obviously, we'll want Linux. So I might even show you how to like quad boot from a single SSD. So like you could have XP, 7, 10, Linux, 11. You know, we could throw them all on there if you have a large enough SSD. Now, I don't know why you would need 7 if you have 10. For the most part, they do about the same thing, but who knows? Hey, quit shaking. I don't know why that's a thing. Worst part about Z690 is there's no good ITX boards. Well, that's because Z690 is not a mainstream platform. I'm going to keep reiterating that. That is the new HEDT. That is what HEDT looks like now. That's why. That thing has so many PCIe lanes. It's a waste on ITX, to be honest. Yep, the Gigabyte DDR4 ITX war was recalled. If it performs like this thing, I wouldn't be surprised if this doesn't get recalled. All right, so this is what we would do. So right here, this is another reason why I like this one, because it's a canned benchmark that works good. So I'm not even going to bother writing these down. But what I would do is you got your average FPS and you got your 1% low. So 91, 71. And maybe I'll scribble them down. I can always cross them out and do it again later. Maybe we'll just test a couple of games here real quick. Obviously, like I said, I don't feel comfortable using this on the main channel. But what would you rather see me compare this to? Because we're only going to have time for one other GPU. Do you want to see it versus the 6600, or do you want to see it versus the 3600 or 3060, RTX 3060? At me and Nathan, this is crap tier. This is a crap tier Asus Prime B660A with 12600K. Excuse me, for 2U server, and I'm going to build after testing 98 watts socket, but I wanted the 4 E-cores for hypervisor. Yeah, personally, I'm of the mindset just turn the E-cores off, but you know, that's if you're going for a pure gaming build. Just turn them off. You got 6 cores and 8 cores. That's what they offer. I guess you could turn them on if you, I don't know. Didn't really make that much of a difference even in something like Handbrake. Okay, so let's see. What else would be a good one since we're cutting this down? Knock that off. Let's do Shadow of the Tomb Raider and Cyberpunk. I love Shadow of the Tomb Raider is my favorite game to benchmark. Cyberpunk, once again, it's the most jank game there is, so it's perfect for benchmarking. Yeah, it turns out Crysis Remastered has a 120 FPS cap, so I was like, oh yeah, I could totally use that. You know, can it run Crysis? That's that sort of thing. I'm like, nope, that's no good for testing. There's a lot of the newer games just suck for benchmarking. Now, granted, 120 FPS in Crysis looks and plays fine. What was the other game? God of War, 120 FPS cap. Elden Ring, 60 FPS cap. And even if you do uncap it, which I tried and it just didn't work. Yeah, and we go to high. Yeah, it's just not worth it because it's still 120 FPS. So, Shadow Warrior 3, that was the other one. That was another game. It's kind of like a Doom Eternal looking type game. I just got it for doing benchmarks. That has a 120 FPS cap. I'm like, what the heck? It's weird. It's just kind of the new thing. 3060, 3060. All right, so we'll do the 3060 next. So we'll just do this, Cyberpunk. I don't know, I could bang through these pretty quick. Let me stop yammering on and get into it. So we're just doing the 1080p numbers, boys. For me, E-cores evens up the 1% figures. I forgot to see if, well, this, I'm so used to using the 3060 for benchmarking. I'm like, do I have DLSS on? That's not a thing on a GTX 1080 Ti. Because NVIDIA does not like its people. I was going to say, AA can't be on. Something just looks weird here. Options. Image does not look right. DLSS is obviously off. AA is off. Okay, I'm like, what the heck? This just doesn't look right. There we go. Way less grainy. This is normally how I do it. I just use TAA. All right, so what I do is I run through the village. Oop, we got to put this back on. Get everything cached. How does it do in Doom Eternal? I was gonna do Doom Eternal, but it takes a while to get to the part because I'd use the first level and get to the part where you start like strangling the guy because it's on rails. It's repeatable. So yeah, considering kind of the time crunch. But if you're talking about, are you talking about the 12100 or the 1080 Ti? Because both do very, very well. Maybe just for you, Nathan, I might do Doom Eternal real quick. Denver's using, yeah, eCores for I/O, for host, and hypervisor. Yeah, I mean, there's use for them. But for most people on a pure gaming build, just turn them off. It's the reason why most people recommend getting the i7 over the i9. Yeah, it's not as good of a bin, but for the most part, you'll get like 98% of the performance out of it for a lot less money. You just turn those bad boys off and save a whole bunch. All right. All right. So this is what I do when I'm benchmarking. I just use Afterburner because it works good. I've tested it against OCAT and it comes out the same. So this is just easier. Here we go. And we just start running. It's pretty interesting. Another point of note, look at that stock cooler on this 12100. It's doing just fine considering the load. It's only 60C. I found that a nice little note. This thing just does not draw power. This is a super power efficient chip. Now, I would probably put a low profile Noctua on this if I was building a small form factor because it's noisy. It is not pleasant on the ears, but still, if you're going for maximum budget, it'll get the job done. All right, so if you guys want to benchmark the same spot that I do, I run into this little rock here, and then we stop. So we got 116 and 86. Okay. Then I'm old school. I got the scratch paper, man. That's how I do it, and then import them all into Excel later. But like I said, I'm not going to be using these numbers, so it doesn't really matter. 2x32 is Micron B-die on the Crucial Sticks. Okay, so you're talking to one of the guys. All right, let's get back. 12100 CPU of the year. Yeah, I just need to get a decent board to show it. See, but that's the downside is the boards are just too pricey. I'm using an $80 B550 in my main system. And I never had these problems. All right, what was the last one I was gonna? Oh, I was gonna show Nathan some Doom Eternal. And I'm not even gonna bench it. I'll just run in here and shoot some stuff just for Nathan. You don't use the built-in bench? Nope. The sequence that I use on Shadow of the Tomb Raider is way more CPU demanding. You might get more GPU demanding using the built-in bench, but no. The way that I do it, it's the same spot that Steve from Hub does it. Actually, I think when the game came out, we talked about it. We're like, yep, this is where you benchmark. That's the right spot. Yeah, difference between i7 and i9 is the cache. Yeah, exactly. But reality, the most that you really see is like 5%. And that's like if you have way better binned i9 versus the i7. I guess if you got like higher tier i7 and shit i9, they'd probably flip. I bet the i7 would win. But odds of getting a better bin i7 is just not likely. All right. High quality. Okay. I keep thinking I got to turn DLSS off. Like I said, I've been doing so much benchmarking with the 3060. All right. So, game slot 1, select. Just run around on Earth, shoot some stuff. So this is just for you, Nathan. We're not going to do the full bench. You can clearly see what's going on with Afterburner. Jiraiya, yeah, that's exactly why you do it. Yeah, because the L3 cache is shared between all cores. You just don't want E-cores wasting your cache. Shut up. See, I always hate this first part because they don't do the glory kills. So I always run up to them I'm like, hey, glory kill, and then it just doesn't. There we go. See? Boom. Boom. All right. Yoink. All right, so what are we getting? 215, 220, 240, 260. Let's see. Oh, big open room, bunch of stuff. 150. Oh, don't have blood punch. All right, so that's enough of that. I'm pretty sure you got your idea of how that's going. Look at that menu, though, 740 FPS. I totally forgot to do that for April Fool's. Benchmarking menus. All right, we're going to do Cyberpunk for the last one. All right, Nevid, or Ryzen, whatever you want me to call you. A question for you. Are the E-cores on 12900H useful for background tasks like Spotify and whatnot? Not really. The only thing that it's good for is high core count workloads. So Handbrake or anything that's just doing number crunching, where every core on your CPU is literally at 100%. Now, you can allocate cores. If you're Denver, Denver can definitely make sure that his E-cores don't do anything that they're not supposed to. I'm not even going to go into that because the average person ain't doing that. But, all right, so preset. I like how Steam Deck has its own preset. We'll just do high, video. Yeah, this is going to make you cry because this does not do well here. I've done this before. This shows how shit this game really is. All right, let's load game. All right. Of course they can do X264 encoding. They're CPU cores. Oh, yeah, no, this is just another benchmark. All the games that I like to play aren't junk. Doom Eternal, I mean, it runs on virtually everything. Out of my test suite, Shadow of the Tomb Raider wasn't bad. I already beat it, though. I use Witcher 3's decent game, but yeah, most of the games I use for benchmarking, I don't play. I just use them because they're good benchmarks. But most of the games that I do play don't make for good benchmarking. I get benchmark Tunic, but I think that has like a 200 FPS cap, and it's just gonna lock. So you know, it's not really good for that. What was it? I gotta try. What was it? Wicked West, the new one from Devolver. But I mean, that's like a isometric RPG game. Those typically are not very demanding. This game only has good visual. I would argue the visuals aren't very good in this either. It's just a system drain. I mean, look at this. We're at 73 FPS on a 1080 Ti at 1080p, by the way. And remember, this GPU theoretically is right up there with like something like a 6600 XT in terms of performance. 3060 might get close. I don't even know how close they really are, to be honest. I haven't done these tests yet. So I wanted to do them all here with you guys so we could have the shock and awe of how these things all go. All right, so this is just my test run because we're on Rails. Yeah, there's a little deviation because of this, but I've run this so many times, it's almost like for like every time. And then luckily they have this little thing right here at the end. I just use that as a finish line. Boom, finish line. All right, so we have 55 and 68. All right, so basically 60 FPS. It's yeah, not a very good game. All right, so now we're going to switch on over to the 3060. How long have we been going for? I guess we might have some time, but do you guys want to see a couple of the other games? Do you want to see Witcher 3 or StarCraft 2? Those are kind of the older games that I was going to bench. We already kind of looked at Doom, but believe it or not, Doom doesn't really make that big of a difference, but all right, so of course I got to wait a sec, see if you guys want to see the other games or just switch on over. Or, no, what we'll do is we'll just do all 3 GPUs. That's what we'll do. We'll just do all 3 on the 3 games. We'll do that instead. All right, so we'll shut down. All right, take care, Nathan. I need to come in here. And we will switch the camera, and then we'll move on over. Always make sure you turn off your power supply, discharge your board. All right. Gotta watch out for that camera. The screwdriver's getting real close. Real quick, I just want to point out, this is 2 generations ago. This is the flagship GPU. It's 2 slot, not extra height in any way, shape, or form, and barely goes over the length of a motherboard. Just wanted to throw that out there because when you compare this to a 3090, like I did for my brother, he's like, oh, they're like 2 completely different things. It's like, no, this is just how stupid things are getting. Do the 3060 so we don't have to mess with drivers yet. Alrighty. Then we will slide on over here and switch to me for now. And I forgot to... PC. Like how my USB switch, every time it senses a new machine with new power, it just goes, nope, that's what we're going to do. We're going to switch over to that one. Preston, that's the way a video card should be, 2 slots. I agree. I like my 2 slots, not extra height. I really hate how all the AMD cards, they're extra fat now. All of them. I haven't seen one that's just like bracket height. Meanwhile, the 3060 right here, this is bracket height. It's basically the same length as the 6600 that I have. Maybe this one is bracket height. It's close. I don't know if you can see it with me being so little. But it's a little bit higher. I'd say that this is okay, but the PowerColor Fighters are the smallest RDNA 2 cards for each tier that I could find. All right, so I am still here. Switch on over to this thing. Nils, it's morning here. Yeah, I mean, I got a lot of people watching over in Europe and Australia and all around the world. So yeah, it's late here in the US, but elsewhere, maybe not so much. All right, so Afterburner, when you do a reboot, usually doesn't pick up your driver right away. So we're just going to do a restart, and then we'll be good to go. 3070 is 220 watts. 1080 Ti is 250 watts. Yes. I'll accept a 3-slotter if it's dead silent. Yeah, I mean, some people want that. I don't personally care about silent. I keep my computer where it belongs, under the desk, away from me. And, you know, so it doesn't really bother me that much. But, yeah, I don't mind having the bigger options for the people that want them. It's just the smaller options they seem to be going away, at least on the AMD side. NVIDIA side, they're still working okay. All right, and then we got the driver being recognized properly. All right, let's get in here. Let's get it. Denver saying, darn it, can't run my 12600K 1-to-1 at 5,000. Yeah, I really didn't think that was going to happen. Wonder what this 5,000 kit can deliver 1-to-1. Just too bad it won't work past 3,600 on my 5700G. Yeah, doing the 1-to-1 is pretty tough because it's all about your IMC. You can overvolt the crap out of it if you got proper cooling, and that'll help. Preston, keep in mind, Chris, that the card makers also make cards for NVIDIA so that fat cards, or because of those cards, are fat as F. Okay. I mean, I personally think that they make them fatter because they can charge you more money. It's like, oh, look how big this thing is. It cost us an extra $3. We'll charge you an extra 30. It's just margin printing for them. They could justify it. Look how heavy this thing is. Meanwhile, you could probably get away with half of the cooler. Gerard, to be honest, I don't completely buy into the hype of the Phoenix iGPU. Sorry, I reset the driver, so I'm going to shut you up again. Yeah, I don't know. It'll be pretty good. I kind of mathed it out. You know, 1070 level performance seems about right for it. Mostly from the memory side. Now, granted, they could just chuck a ton of cache on there, and that could fix some of that. We'll have to wait and see. We'll wait and see. But I would say if you're expecting like 3050 level performance, that's a reasonable expectation. And it has RGB. That's $50 more. Yeah, exactly. Well, you got your 30 plus the 50, because we all know it's like racing stripes on cars. RGB just makes things go faster. Yeah. But was it Brian from Tech Gas City? He'll tell you though, if you want to sell like old PCs, just jam as much RPG. Yeah, throw as many rocket-propelled grenades in there as you can. No, sell as much, or throw as much RGB as you can in it, and it sells. He's 100% right. For some reason, people just love that stuff. All right, double check video settings. Everything's still the same. All right, let's go. Interesting topic would be aftermarket GPU cooling. Outside of like water blocks, that is so niche. I mean, it might be worth doing like a video on, if you guys really wanted that. You could be like, hey, why don't you do a video on this? We could do that, I suppose. True, RGB makes everything faster. Hey, that's what the consensus is. I don't personally buy into that one myself, but apparently the community has said RGB make game faster. So who am I to disagree? Slap an i9 sticker on an i3 build. Sells within an hour. Yeah, unless you get somebody that actually checks. And then... yeah, I don't know. I don't straight rip people off. Now I'll put like i3 12100 beats, I don't know, i9 47 or i7 4770K or something. Or I could probably, I'm pretty sure this probably beat an i9 9900K in gaming. Or it'd come close, or whatever. But then I link a video of me showing that, so then this way they can't really argue. It's like, there you go. There's your evidence. That's the other reason why I kind of wanted to do this. When I showed the 5960X beating the 3700X, everybody's like, no, that can't be true. That's not real. Yeah, well, now I'm going to be doing them live with you guys. And then we'll have the entire process recorded, and I'll just be like, there it is. You can watch me do this. So there's no more, that's not possible. Totally not possible. What's going to be really crazy is when I have Sandy Bridge beating Zen 2. You guys are going to want to stick around for that. Jiraiya hates RGB. I'm not a big fan myself, but my kid loves it. If he sees something with RGB, he just guns right for it. So there's something there. Denver, I'm benchmarking the RX 6400. I do want to mention, I totally forgot. I was going to check my emails if anybody did do the PayPal thing. Really bad about that. That's why I like the super chats, because it's boom, there it is. All right. All right, good. I feel better, and worse, since there's no donos. But I didn't miss them, so there's that. Anyways, back to Denver. What was it? I'm benchmarking RX 6400 on Outer Worlds right now. And I just noticed the advertisements for faux windows, basically explaining why you can't see through most windows in the game. Oh, yeah, that's right. I was like, Outer Worlds. It took me a minute. I beat that when it came out. Yeah. They have some pretty funny stuff in that one. Say the 12100 beats the W995 WX3D. That one won't happen, though. That one I know won't happen. Although on that one, you're going to have to disable most of the cores. So there's no point. Just do the 5800X 3D. DDR5 8500, almost 140 gigabytes per second would not touch 220, 280 gigabytes of bandwidth. See, that's the misconception. And AMD's already shown you with the X3D. You can do with, I don't know, 50 gigabytes per second. If you have enough cache, you can make it run whatever. You know, if you throw a gigabyte of cache or something on it, shit, probably beat a 6900 XT at that point. You just need to have enough shader cores and clock speed and all the rest of that. So pure memory bandwidth just doesn't matter anymore. And you're going to see it from NVIDIA next gen because they're going with the cache as well. However, on their high-end stuff, they're still going with 384-bit. So I don't know. I'm worried about AMD next gen. AMD's just making some bad choices in life. What do we got here? We got 93 and 73. 93, 73. So just for reference, next to the 1080 Ti, that was 9171. So 2 FPS on 1% and average. So tie. I think we can call that a tie. Get out of this. Shut up. All right, then we go under Steam. Chris, what's this game about? To be honest, I have no idea. I am not an open world person. So Watch Dogs I knew wasn't going to be something that I wanted to deal with, but it had DLSS. So that's why I picked it up when I got the 2060. I wanted, because there wasn't a lot of good DLSS 2.0 games at the time. And turns out, like I said, it's just a good benchmark that shows scaling. But in terms of game, it's just not that much fun. Shadow of the Tomb Raider I did enjoy. Let me make sure DLSS is off. Okay. Because now that's a thing. So we have to make sure that that is not on. Shadow of the Tomb Raider, I kind of like this one. I don't know. The first one of the reboot series was definitely the best. And I honestly think... I don't know. Rise of the Tomb Raider I didn't care for that much. This one I thought was a little bit better than that, but still, the first game in the reboot series is definitely the best. i3 12100F probably beats the 1800X or Threadripper. No, the 12100 will easily beat any Zen 2 CPU without question. Doesn't even matter. Zen 2 stands no chance. So everything below that is just gone. Zen 3 is questionable. And personally, I want to try it. I just can't justify spending $300 on a 5700X. There's no way in hell I'm spending more than that on a 5800X. The only... Oops, sorry. I mean, we're not benchmarking yet, so it doesn't matter. But the only AMD CPU right now that I have any real interest in is the X3D. That does look pretty interesting. They're just too much money. I'll wait until they're like $200 in a few years, and then we'll run those tests. Hopefully they make enough of them that they are $200 in a few years. That's actually my biggest fear for the X3D, is they just don't make enough, so they become like super rare and super collectible like immediately. So yeah, they started at $450, and then next year they're like $800 and then $1,200. That would really suck. Although I do have a viewer that has one, and he's like, when I don't need this anymore, I'll just give it to you. So, but that'll probably be like 3 or 4 years from now. But if they're $1,200, I'll wait. I mean, I'm a Zen 2 owner. You know what Zen 2 is really good at? Handbrake and media encoding, CPU media encoding. That thing is a monster. Even the 12900K got its ass kicked. So Zen definitely has its advantage, because I can't really say that there's anything else that I've seen that it's that good in, like way better than Intel at. But yeah, when it comes to gaming, Zen's not the best. Well, Zen 2 anyway. Zen 3, I haven't messed with, to be perfectly honest, so I can't speak to that. Alrighty, boys, let's see what we get here. We run through the village. It was funny. I was doing this benchmark with my buddy Austin, who has got the 3090 for one of the videos I did not too long ago. And the waitress lady like ran right in front of me. I'm like, well, shit, we got to start all over. He's like, you got to start for that? It's like, yeah, that's a big deviation. Like if I juke a little bit here or there, that's not a big deal. But if you get stopped for like half a second, yep, you got to redo the test. Man, that stock cooler gets loud. I had the Vetru V5 on it before. I'm wondering if maybe that's what it is. Maybe the stock cooler can't keep the IMC cool enough. I might have to test that out. I mean, we're not getting that hot, but obviously it could be hotter that, you know, in certain areas or something. Okay, so what do we got? We got 112 and 87. 12 and 87. All right. Oops, I put that in the wrong spot. So compared to the 1080 Ti, that had 116 and 86. So 1% low is basically the same. And then we have the average, basically the same. So if we considered the other one a tie, I would definitely consider this one a tie. Your 12100 is only at 57C. You can turn it down, right? Well, the fan speed I could, but yeah, like I said, I'm wondering if that's the difference between the RAM overclocks. I'll throw on the... Actually, I have the V5 on a 2600K right now. I don't think I'm going to be testing that for a while, so I'll probably pull that off and put it back on here. And then if the RAM runs at the speed again, then I know the stock cooler, even though it's reporting good temperatures and the package temperature is okay, there's just certain spots that get hotter than others, and yeah, might just need the better cooling. I didn't think about that until just now because the fan was whizzing and I was like, whoa, that's annoying. All right, so third one's Cyberpunk. Cyberbench. Time to delid your IMC for better cooling. I am one of those people that firmly believes that solder is good enough. If you need more than that, you're pushing too hard, I think. Personally, that's just my personal take. You know, for some people, they want every last little bit, but I know the average person's not going to do that because I have no interest in doing that. It's also the reason why I don't like Intel's Ivy Bridge, Haswell, Skylake, and Kaby Lake CPUs, because none of those use solder. I think it was Coffee Lake they started using those again. For long term, like if you want to build like an old XP system, use Sandy Bridge instead of Ivy Bridge or Haswell on the mainstream stuff. If you want those, go HEDT, because those still had solder and that lasts forever. All right, Cyberpunk. You guys can tell I'm very single focused. Like I can't talk and do something at the same. It's just not. That's not my thing. I'm a one thing at a time kind of guy. I'm single threaded to the max. Outer Worlds 110 FPS on the 6400 at 1080p low. That's actually not bad. I couldn't hit 60 FPS when the game came out. I could not get 60 FPS on an RX 580. Just couldn't do it. It was another one of those things where I was like, and AMD and Unreal Engine need to have a chat. I think that they figured out that that was a real problem. They seem to be rectifying it. I think it was Borderlands 3. AMD actually beat NVIDIA in that one. All right, still high preset. Let's just double check, make sure DLSS is not on. Ray tracing, DLSS, all that shit's off. Okay. Well, that's good. All righty, boys. Let's get this going. Nathan's worried his 12600K can't pull off recording like the 3600 or 3700X. Could you use QuickSync on UHD 770? Is it good enough? Yeah, QuickSync is it's all right. I mean, visual quality, it depends on what you're trying to do. Like, are you trying to make like a high quality, like a YouTube video out of the recording, or is it like I'm just recording something to verify something? Because QuickSync is the worst of the three. It's worse than AMD's encoders, in my opinion. The visual quality, anyway. Nevid saying 16 gen will probably be 7 nanometer Intel for Arrow Lake. I know Intel skips 13th gen. Who the hell knows? I mean, 16th gen's like, what, 2026 or something, maybe? I don't know. Please don't use their new terminology, Intel 4. It's Intel 7 nanometer. Which is basically TSMC 5 nanometer. I think it's actually a hair better, but I just don't like that they changed that because, you know, like Alder Lake, to me, that's 10 nanometer. Always was 10 nanometer. Took them forever to get to 10 nanometer. But then they're like, nah, it's totally 7 nanometer. And my brain just can't. Because we were talking about Intel 10 nanometer for so long that that's just what's in there. Shoot these guys. We reload. We go over here, and then we start shooting again. So, yeah, if you do benchmarks for YouTube, you're pretty familiar with doing the exact same thing all the time. And then we slowly shift over here. Shoot these guys. It's all about that consistency. Let me just shoot this thing. Now, I don't shoot the driver because I don't want him to die, because then he just crashes, and that's part of the benchmark. So, driver can't die. And then we got our finish line, built-in finish line. All right, so 72 and 57. These numbers are like super, super similar. 72, 57. So we had 68. So the average is a bit higher here. I'd say percentage-wise, this is probably the highest difference that we had, but it's only 4 FPS. And then 55 on the 1080 Ti versus 57. So I feel pretty comfortable saying the RTX 3060 and 1080 Ti, they're virtually the same. So yeah, it's actually better than I thought. Apparently, NVIDIA's done some good work with the 3060 and drivers, because it's definitely punching higher than it did at launch. Because this thing was like a 2060 Super level or a 2070 level when it launched. And those GPUs, maybe they got a bump up too, but those GPUs were not a 1080 Ti, especially not when they launched. So, all right, let's try the RX 6600 next. Yeah, we'll just DDU first. I think I got DDU on here. It's on a flash drive, which is somewhere. I've got flash drives all over. Well, I suppose maybe it's under tools. Of course not. Why would I make my life simple? Yes, this would be much better if I had all my stuff a little bit better organized. Oh, we'll just go ahead and download everything then. Shut up. Guru 3D DDU. Let's see. You guys are talking about that. I second that QuickSync is the worst for the same file size. Yeah, it definitely is. Apple Video 2 Box is the best, M1 specifically. That kind of makes sense. That's kind of Apple's bread and butter, is that sort of stuff. And Nathan, I like the idea of 4K recording on my 6800 XT. Would Big Navi encoder be better than QuickSync? Yes. Yes, it would be. And then Preston, Intel likes to... Intel lies to politicians, like politicians do. The sky isn't falling. I'm not really sure what you're referencing. I personally do not believe the sky is falling either. Unless you're talking about them changing their names. I just think it's dumb. Let's get the AMD driver downloaded. Jiraiya in H.265, the Big Navi encoder is better than NVENC. Maybe. I don't know. H.265 just doesn't make sense for GPU encoding. Like for me, that's like long-term video storage, and you're way better off with CPU encoding for that. Like if you have I have a Plex server, so I do CPU encoding only. See, look at this. NVIDIA calls them out, and now AMD's coming out with WHQL drivers. It's kind of funny. I noticed that earlier when I downloaded this. I was like, oh, look at that. You guys are actually coming out with WHQL drivers. Billiken, I never touch Apple. I can't use it. I could not even open an app. Yeah, I'm not a fan either. But, you know, some people really like it. And let's be honest, it's the best at what it does. Like, if you use Apple's stuff and live within their ecosystem, there really isn't anything better. Problem is, you want to step 1 inch outside of that ecosystem, and it all falls apart. So, yeah, I prefer options. That's why Windows or Linux for me, please. We got to do this. Really hate all this. All right, let's just drop you up here. Make that easy. We'll just drop that the other two. Alrighty, boys. I'm going to switch the GPU. Now, I guess we can do the DDU part now. Preston, yes. Chris, the fake process naming, total BS. Oh, yeah. Well, it is and it isn't. Basically, they renamed their processes to be more in line with TSMC, which really goes to show that TSMC is now the world leader, that they're adjusting to their, the way they do things. Oh, crap. All right, guys, I don't know if you're noticing. Am I hitting restart or am I hitting shutdown? Because I'm pretty sure I hit restart and the system just shut down. This definitely feels like the motherboard, again, being stupid. But anyway, since it's shut down, okay, so it looks like it's got the options coming up now. CPU got real quiet. I'm seeing it on here because my monitor shuts off and then it reverts back. All right, so safe mode. That looks like the old school safe mode. Nils, I'm not an Apple fan, but for video editing, it's the best at the moment. But as Paul said, you're really bound to their ecosystem. Yeah, if you can live in their walled garden and love life and be happy and all of that, more power to you. All right, let's get rid of that. So apparently in safe mode, the CPU fan is real quiet. But under normal mode, it's just like, nah, we're going to be loud. Denver saying he was wrong about the Outer Worlds numbers for the 6400 were for 1080p medium. Color me surprised. Yeah, that's pretty good. Like I said, I couldn't even get 1080p 60. I think I was shooting for high medium on the RX 580 when that thing launched. Couldn't do it. Right, and then Intel naming, process naming is like people who read specs and don't read reviews. Yep. But it's just marketing at this point. All right, let's shut this down. Let me switch this over. This is the part that's going to take me some getting used to, switching all of the thinguses. But we'll scooch on over here. Actually, I've never used the 6600 yet. So this will be my first experience with it with you guys. Not gonna lie, I'm a big fan of the size. I like the no backplate and small profile. I like all of that. So hopefully it's quiet-ish. That'd be nice. Okay, there we go. Switching on back. All right, I'm just reading through your guys' comments here. Marcus, good morning from Germany, everybody. Welcome, buddy. Have you all a happy stream? I'm gone for work for now. All right, Marcus. Well, you have fun at work, buddy. Neil, I need GPU power increased more than CPU. VR choose it up in games. Yeah. GPU is really what you need, and that's what I just keep trying to prove. That's why I keep buying like these old platforms and 12100s and all this and that. It's like you don't need a lot of CPU performance. Well then, boys, this is looking interesting. My monitor is getting a feed of black. That's what's happening now. Yeah, so it's not just like nothing's showing up because it would say no signal. This is interesting. All right. Sometimes it's just the HDMI is just not plugged in all the way. But we'll just turn it off and try it out. Do we have a screen? There we go. All right. So HDMI just wasn't plugged in all the way. So if you ever have that issue and you're like, oh no, something's wrong with my GPU, trust me, that's the first thing to try. All right. So actually, we're going to unplug the interwebs. I don't want Windows installing any drivers. We can do that ourselves. Shut up. All right, let's see. Switching to 1080p high sees frame rate drop to sub 50, even with PCIe 4. So yeah, that might have been what I was doing with the RX 580, because I'm like, man, those numbers are real good. Preston, this is great, man. I'm glad you're enjoying it. You know, we don't have a whole lot of viewers. Really need to promote this a little bit better. I also know that the timing's not the best. I was really hoping to get to like 30, maybe 50. I think that that'd be fine. Usually on the Techonomics, we get 150 to 200. So I figure if I get about 100 people watching this on the regular, that'd be all right. But like I said, I'm going to be doing this anyway. Just you guys are here with me. Now, what I would be doing in this particular instance is really stress testing this motherboard. Like I said, throwing on the different cooler and stuff like that. I guess we could have went that route, but I wanted to give you guys the content that I promised. But yeah, so we'll... But assuming everything's working, this is normally what I'd be doing. And then we will be then making videos out of the data that we collect. I guess that doesn't really matter because we don't have AMD stuff on here. Gigabyte strikes again. Yeah, I've had good luck with their boards. Like the X99 board that I have is a Gigabyte, and that thing is great. That thing was excellent. But that's also what, 2014 year thing? I don't know. Their cheap stuff here lately hasn't been super good. But I've personally had decent luck with them in the past. This is my first epic fail on a motherboard. On a budget motherboard, this is the first time that I could say that it was 100% a failure to the point where, yeah, I'm going to have to try to return this. Now, once again, if I can fix it with the better cooler, that'd be all right, because I guess I can't blame the board if it is the IMC and the stock cooler can't handle it. So that's the next thing that I personally have to do. All right, I'm going to reboot anyway. If you install a driver, reboot your system. Even if it says you don't have to, just do it. It's just good practice. We got Navid question for me. Would you suggest a 120 hertz monitor for your Series S? Yes, I would. I have a monitor, but goes up to 75. And it loses connection when I move the HDMI cable. Okay, it just sounds like loose connection. Could sell it for 50 to 60 bucks. I would do 120 hertz. I mean, the Xboxes do a lot of games at 120, so you might as well take advantage of that. All right. 6600, everything's recognized. All right, let's get into it, boys. You can't get an unlocked 8-core for your X79, or you can get an unlocked 8-core. Yeah, but I don't want 8 cores. See, that's my whole point. You don't really want cores. What you want is speed. And nothing's going to go faster than the, well, maybe the Ivy Bridge one, but the Ivy Bridge CPUs are stupid expensive. So I got the Sandy Bridge 3960X. Basically, what this CPU shows you is you're better off disabling cores. And I'm going to do a video on this as well. So you buy an 8-core, knock 4 of them off if you can get higher clock speed out of them, because that's going to be more beneficial. We're basically at the point where quad cores will live forever, and game developers are kind of telling you that's going to be the case with UE5. So yeah, you don't want cores, you want fast cores, and as few of them as necessary. And you want all the cache that you can get for the least amount of cores. But that's just for gaming, obviously. Workloads are completely different. Neil, I'm surprised YouTube actually notified me early. I have constant problems with Techonomics not being promoted until you guys are already deep into the stream. Yeah, YouTube's a fickle thing. Your 3060 would be worth 1,000 plus. if that scenario happened later this year. Oh, if China invades Taiwan. Oh, yeah, yeah. Buying GPUs now, especially the entry-level stuff, is just great. Because the prices on these aren't going to go down all that much. So, for example, like I got this for $280. Let's say you even got $300. I saw them today. $300 on eBay. Really hate that. Stop. Should just disable the speakers on here, but I do use them occasionally. But yeah, buy the low end stuff, because this is still going to be $200 next gen. This level of performance, it's not going to go down that much. So you're not going to lose a lot of money. But yeah, if things do go to shit, yeah, you're sitting on kind of a gold mine as well. So there's a little bit of a risk, but not a lot. If I were you, I wouldn't buy something that you're not actually going to use. But if you could use it in, let's say, a secondary system or even a third system, I don't know how many computers you guys run, but I've got 2 upstairs and like 2 or 3 down here. They all have different functions. So yeah, I can load up on some low end stuff. Yeah, but imagine if Intel and AMD start to segment their high-end CPUs to quads with all cache. I mean, that would be the killer gaming CPU. Like if you put, let's say, 512 megs of cache on a quad core, that'd be magic. That will absolutely destroy every other CPU out there. But they're not going to do that. They're going to go with 8s. Because 8s are more balanced, because you can do a lot of workloads with 8 cores. That's really where the diminishing returns really kick in. So, yeah, the 8 cores are going to be the ones that they're going to focus on for a long time, I think. 8 cores is the new quad core. But in reality, I really want to test like an X3D with half the cores disabled. And you just feed it all that cache. Like, nobody's tested that, so I have no idea. I have no idea how that would go. I could ask Ivan, I guess. See, he's already put the money in. But that's a pretty cool video idea, and I'd like to do it. But I'm also not going to have an X3D for a long time, so there's also that. 12900KS with just 4 E-cores with all the cache. Yeah, well, when I talked to Intel, before the Alder Lake thing, they were definitely, they made it clear you had to have at least 1 P core on, because that's what I was thinking. I'm like, E cores with a shit ton of cache, low clock speeds, probably some monstrous level of IPC, and they're like, yeah, you can't do that. But yeah, I don't know. I think that would make for a really cool low end system. You look at the block diagram, and it's like 80% of the silicon is just cache. I don't know. I'm sure there's diminishing returns at some point, but we're nowhere near where that level is, so it'd be fun to see. Rocket League is underrated. 11900K gave it a bad name. Yeah, it's mostly because they just stuck with the 8 core. I don't know. I have the 11400. I'm going to be selling it, but it ran just fine. It was super cheap too. Got that 180 like launch day. And I got a $90 ITX motherboard as well because nobody wanted it. I've done it with my 11700K and 12700K. I don't know what you did. Oh, there you go. There it is. Damn, I still tried this early. The 11700K is quad now, and it boosts so high. Yep. That's what I'm talking about. Like, we all know, like, the 12900K really craps out around 5.1, 5.2. But, imagine if you get to 5.5 on quad. That'd be way better for gaming. Because even the games that scale, like this game scales really well with cores, but it still hits, every single one of these games still hits 1 core like 20 to 30% higher. And I've noticed that on every game that scales reasonably well. There's always that 1 core getting hit about 20 to 30% more. So Yeah, until you see 100% top to bottom when you're running a benchmark or a game or whatever, that's you still got room there. You still need more single thread is what that means. I can hit 5.2 on all core easy. My 10600K, but it gets toasty, so I pull it back. Yeah, well, I mean, that's pretty good. That's a decent chip there. That's essentially the KS level, I think. Denver, imagine a Threadripper X3D with only 16 cores, but it's 2 cores per CCD, and then you have 192 megabytes CCD and 468 megabytes total cache for all 16 cores. What's even better than that? 768 megs of cache for 8 cores. You know, it's probably better than that. I'd say 6 cores is probably the best spot to be. Throw all that on 6 cores. This way you got a little extra for background tasks and stuff. 4-core, 8 threads for people like me who keep like a perfectly clean system. So for example, like I showed you guys earlier in the video, the way this system is set up is how my system is. The only thing I might have open is Discord. That's about it. So that's how clean I keep my system. So I can get away with it. But yeah, 6 cores, I think, for most people just makes sense because not everybody's as tidy with their apps as I am. Jiraiya, did you hear about the report stating that the U.S. government expected around 100 million infections in the fall, like the 4th wave? Oh, COVID's done and over with. Yeah, everybody's going to get it. You're going to get it every year. You might get it 2 or 3 times a year. Kind of going to be it's going to be the common cold, to be honest. Its deadliness is far below the flu at this point. So, yeah, just expect to get it. Don't worry about it. Take a few days off of work and be fine. Now, if they're going to freak out about it again, that's on them. I can't tell people not to freak out about something that doesn't matter, but if you're going to freak out about something, freak out about getting in a car accident and dying. You have a higher chance of that happening. All right, so we got 9674. This is really hilarious. This actually wins in this one. So the 6600, 9674. We have the 3060 at 93 and 73. I'd still call that margin of error. And then we have the 1080 Ti at 68 and 55. Nope, that's the wrong one. 91 and 71. So it's like 2 FPS slower on the 3060 and 2 FPS slower on the 1080 Ti. So I'd say the 1080 Ti is definitely slower in this game than the 6600. I think that's a big enough gap, but I would say the 3060 and the 6600 in this game, I would call that one a tie. Waiting for you guys to catch up because not gonna lie, I was not expecting the AMD win there though. That's an NVIDIA sponsored title, so that's pretty good. We'll jump over to Shadow, see how that does. This is making me interesting for doing the real tests. Stupid motherboard. I might throw this on my real test bench. I got the water cooling on that one. just make sure that IMC is nice and cool. All right, all settings are good. Oh, shit. You guys can't... Oh. Sorry about that. We get copy protected on our screens. I just noticed that. I forgot AMD is stupid. AMD and their shit driver. This is one thing that I hate. Like, their driver is okay enough, does the job, but you have to disable HDCP. So sorry about that, guys. I forgot about AMD and their thing. Where the hell is display at? Is it still not showing you guys? Because I'm literally just in Windows right now. Display, overrides, accept the EULA. It's like, why is this even a thing? Why? All right, so sorry about that. No, Pelican, that's AMD and their stupid driver. Yeah, got to turn off the HDCP thing, which, like I said, I have no idea why that's a thing. But yeah, I always forget about that because it's only AMD graphics that do that. Like, I can hook up an Xbox, I can hook up any NVIDIA card, Intel cards, they all work. AMD does the stupid thing. Anyways, sorry about that. Well, we're going to switch on over to Shadow the Tomb Raider and get that one knocked out. I guess Mac does the same thing too. Why? All right, and I'm just anal about this. I always check settings before I run benchmarks, even though I know that they're the same. I just always double check. All right, let's turn. All right, hit the wrong buttons, but that's fine. All right, let's do our little run here. All right, so I'm starting to get the swing of this, the reading the chat as I'm benchmarking. I was wondering how this would go. I mean, it's like a completely different sort of thing. Oh, look at that. We got 25 people in here. There we go. We're hitting about the numbers I was hoping to see. Welcome. Welcome all the new peeps. Mr. John Collins, welcome. All right, so for the new guys, we are now on the RX 6600. We already tested the 1080 Ti and the 3060. We basically concluded 1080 Ti and 3060 virtual tie. The 3060 won a little bit more, but we're talking like 1 or 2 FPS on 1% lows and averages. 1080 Ti did win 1 or 2. So we called it a wash. Thus far, the 6600 is winning Watch Dogs by a decent bit over the 1080 Ti, which is kind of surprising considering it's an NVIDIA sponsored title. So that's where we're at so far. I would find it very funny if the 6600 beats the 3060, because that would be hilarious and break the internet if that ends up being the case. Obviously, it depends on what games and what settings you're using. All right, but let's see how it goes here in Tomb Raider. If it wins this one too, I'm definitely going to have to do a full video. I might even do like 8 or 10 games per GPU. All right, I'll get to the chat here in a sec. Unfortunately, I got to kind of pay attention for this. Can't have any ladies running out in front of me and killing my benchmark. Like this guy right here. Get out of my way, dude. I got to keep on running. We got to do it for consistency's sake. All right, there we go. So we got 102 and 79. All right. Just to throw a monkey wrench in this whole thing. So 102.79 on the 6600. We had 112 and 87 on the 3060. And then the 3080 Ti was 116 and 86. So the 1080 Ti beats the pants out of the 6600 in this game. So complete reversal on that one. That's a big enough gap between the 3060 as well. So the NVIDIA cards are definitely stronger in this game. So Nathan asked before, is it matching the 1080 Ti? Well, it was better in Watch Dogs and a good bit worse in this one. By good bit, I mean about 10%. So not talking earth-shattering difference, but 10%, you're getting close to half a tier, half a GPU tier. So, I mean, you have to keep that in perspective. So it's significant enough. Now, unfortunately, we're only doing the 3 games because I'm not super thrilled with the test platform. But we'll see how this goes. All right, give me 2 seconds, guys. I have to hit the bathroom. All right, so we're back. Let's jump on some Cyberpunk. Was it Pelican? You don't use the Afterburner report performance tool? No, you don't need it. Like I said, I've verified that the performance is the same. What it shows on your screen, that's what you're getting. Verified with OCAT, and yeah, it's just way easier to do that. Hit a couple buttons, you hit start, you hit stop, there you go. Rounds up and down for you. It's fine. So make your life easier. You get the same numbers. Preston on vacation. This is time well spent. Preston, I'm glad you're enjoying yourself, buddy. We just got to find other people that would enjoy this type of content. You know, the behind the scenes, the hard work that we put in. I think it's going to get real fun. I mean, we're starting to see interesting results here. Like I said, Watch Dogs 6600 beating the NVIDIA cards. Did not see that happening. I think we'll just have to make sure that the test bench next time is a little bit more stable, and then we'll just do a huge suite of games. Graphics, we're still on high preset, and this doesn't have DLSS. We don't have to worry about that. So let's do this one. Yeah, threw Witcher 3 in there as well for the DirectX 11 testing, because I think the 1080 Ti is probably going to smash in that one. Jiraiya, did you see that in AMD's preview for their upcoming driver, There are improvements to DirectX 11. I was surprised that they care enough to do that. Well, a lot of new games still use DirectX 11, especially like esports and whatnot, so they kind of have to. But yeah, it's good to see. It's good to see that they're doing that. They've really kind of given up on DX9. When I had the 6700 XT, I think I tested that. I'd really like to see them actually get OpenGL to a usable level. Like, it's just horribly unusable at this point. There we go. Uh, 1:30 a.m. over here. What time is it here? It's 12:30 a.m. So I guess you're East Coast. I think I got to go to sleep, but hope to stick around for the whole stream because I like your content and commentary. Navid, appreciate it, buddy. Yeah, thanks for the support, and we will catch you around, buddy. Yeah, Pelican, yeah, dumps numbers in a text file. Yeah, I know. You just don't need to go in there and dig for it. All we need is average and 1% low. 0.1% low is the stupidest thing to look at. I love how some people get hung up on that. Like, literally just loading glitch. I should probably shoot this guy. But loading glitches and quick saving and anything like that, that can throw that off completely. So, yeah, 0.1% lows just don't make a whole lot of sense. But, yeah, 1% you need because that's going to give you a pretty good idea of what your frame consistency is. All right. Shoot the front of this van. Oh, blew that off. And there we go. Let's see what we got here. So we got... Ooh, that's pretty bad. All right, so 66 and 53. All right, so we got 66 and 53 here versus 72 and 57. So the 1% are not too far apart. I guess that's only there against the 3060. And then we have 55 or 68 and 55 on the 1080 Ti. So slightly faster on the 1080 Ti, a good bit faster. I'd say the 3060 is definitely the clear winner on that one. And then there we go. So yeah, we're not doing the whole suite here, but from our short little thing, here, let me get out of this and I'll go back to full screen. I'll just do that over here. Okay. Let's do this. So yeah, from our little snapshot benchmark here, we could easily say the 6600 is about 1080 Ti, and I would say the 3060 is like a hair faster. So overall, these are very, very close. I'll need a larger suite of games to really get there. Obviously, I was planning on doing Doom Eternal, Witcher 3, and StarCraft 2. StarCraft's mostly for the CPU side, but I just wanted to see if there was CPU overhead. Maybe the AMD chip will perform a little bit better in there. We can keep going with that. I'd love to use more modern games like Elden Ring, God of War, what else? Shadow Warrior 3. But yeah, those have frame rate caps. For GPU testing, I guess I could, but we'd have to definitely do 1440p. To make sure that we're just never hitting 120 FPS. Maybe you have to go to 4K. But that's just kind of silly because nobody's ever going to use that. So those games just aren't the best for testing. So yeah, we're kind of limited here. I might just use some older games that, you know, work. Maybe like Assassin's Creed Valhalla. You know, the ones that everyone's using for most of their benchmarks. Maybe do some esports titles, but like I said, I'm not really into those, so I wouldn't even know where to start to benchmark. I can do CSGO, but that's more of a CPU bench than anything else. So, but yeah, overall, I would say that they're all basically tied. So right now, in terms of money, the 6600 is definitely the way to go. Even though, where was it? Cyberpunk didn't do the best, but it's basically on par with the 1080 Ti. It won in Watch Dogs by a decent bit over the 1080 Ti. I'd call it basically a wash against the 3060. Then Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Shadow of the Tomb Raider did take probably its biggest loss on that one. But even still, we're talking like maybe 10%. So I say that that's pretty good. I'm just checking in on you guys, see where you guys are at. Blah, 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 blah. Ti would probably show more grunt if NVIDIA optimized for it more. Well, of course, they're not going to optimize too much for it, but it's 1080 Ti gets its butt kicked more in DirectX 12 and Vulkan titles. It just was never really built to run those. So like a lot of the features and stuff that are in there, it's not going to do as well. But yeah, DirectX 11 titles, that thing's probably, I'd say it'd probably beat both these guys, but I don't know, it's still holding in there pretty good with these entry-level guys, and considering... Oh, shit. Sorry, I got kind of everything mixed up. I'm trying to shut down this PC while I'm doing this thing. But price and performance-wise, it's definitely better than the RTX 3060. So you get more, or I guess in that case, you don't get more VRAM. Next to the 6600, you get more VRAM, so that's an added benefit. But what are we talking about, like 300 to 350 bucks? I don't know. Do you guys think it'd be worth the 50 bucks? You do get 3 extra gigs of VRAM. You're going to get worse support long-term. Ray tracing is just not going to happen anyway on the card. So I would probably say the 6600 makes more sense for more people. But yeah, I want to do more testing. If anything, this showed me that I should probably expand my games list and get it going. I'll probably do, if I do an expanded games list, which of the 3 GPUs are you least interested in for you guys that are watching? Because I'll probably just pre-do one of the GPUs, maybe 2, and then just run the third one. I think we could probably get through 2 of them, assuming everything's working. So I'll probably just run one off screen, and then this way we can just spend the time running a shit ton of games. So if I did one of these off screen on my own time, which GPU would you rather I do for that? And then which 2 would you like to see? Philip wants me to run Assetto Corsa. I'm sorry. I'm not. Well, I might be able to check into it. I'll see what I can do on that one. If it's a few bucks, I'll pick it up. In Hub's 3060 versus 6600 XT 50 game, they showed the 3060 match, but I think that the game selection skewed results. I mean, that's always going to be the case. It's always going to come down to game selection, but that's why Steve does 50 games. So that's like the 50 most benchmarkable games, like going back in time. So yeah, I don't know. That's why, like, I like to double check. I like to double check these guys because, you know, sometimes something comes up. Maybe his system or his settings are a little bit different, and, you know, under certain circumstances, some things will be different than others. All right. For Jaria, he says 1080 Ti is the least interesting. If I was buying today, I'd say no, but if you already have 1080 Ti, there's no reason to replace it. Definitely not at 1080p, but I would argue most people that have a 1080 Ti got it for 1440p. So I'd say anybody who bought a 1080 Ti last gen, when Turing was out, they probably got it for 1080p. And then, yeah, for those guys, it's definitely worth keeping. All right, so you guys want to see the new cards on screen. Okay. That's cool. Yeah, I could just have like a chart. So I could have like a graphic that'll pop up, and I'll just be like 1080 Ti numbers, and then, you know, we can just show them on screen. And then I can read off the other two. It'll also make it easier, so this way, like, you can visually see one, and then I can just read off two, so this way it makes the numbers a little bit easier to, instead of me reading off three numbers, and you're like, which ones was this one? And yeah. Okay, we'll do that then. So I'm going to go ahead and check out this i3 and see what the heck is going on. Like I said, the other day it was running perfect. The only thing that I changed was the cooler. I wouldn't assume that would be that big of a deal. If it is, I'll apologize to Gigabyte. I still would not recommend this board due to the lack of tuning that they have. If you guys are interested in any of the specs, they're always going to be in the video descriptions. If you're like, what the hell is he running? They're in there. If I don't post a cooler, it's because I'm using stock. Let's see. I do want to go over that deal again, because this is a hell of a deal. If you guys were not watching earlier, let's go here. I do have a link down below if you do want to upgrade your DDR4. Basically, get the best DDR4 memory that money can buy. It's on sale right now over here on Amazon. It's $84.99, and you get $12 off. So basically, like $72 for 16 gigabytes. You can also go ahead and buy two of these, go up to 32 gigabytes. It's way cheaper, but this is Samsung B die. This is effectively the same memory that I was using here today. I was not able to use the memory properly due to some combination of issues, but this was running the other day. 3600 CL 14, 14, 14, and our clocks were 14, 14, 14, 28. And that ran perfectly fine. Got an entire suite of benchmarks done, no problems. Twice. I was able to do it twice. So, yeah. If you are in the market for DDR4, I'd pick these up. It's a great deal. I will be buying some here in a little bit. So, before we head out, I'll check the chat. If you guys got any questions, anything you want to talk about here for a couple minutes. And then, yeah, we'll be doing this again Thursday. So if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do so. Click the notification bell. And I will probably do these randomly. So, like I said, I do this type of testing almost every night. So I might just stream every night. But Tuesdays and Thursdays, at least for now, will be the scheduled days. So there will definitely be streams those days. All the rest of them will just kind of be randoms. So if I decide an hour beforehand, be like, yeah, I'm going to do some testing, I'll throw it up. You guys will get a notification. So we'll see how it goes. And yeah, hopefully we can get to that 4,000 watch hours relatively quick. That'd be nice. It'd be a lot easier getting the supers. Oh, Connor's jumping in. You're here at the end, buddy. Just wrapping up. We had kind of an interesting experience here with a crappy B660 board. So yeah, I definitely need to invest a little bit more in a better board. But yeah, just checking out the chat here. So we got Preston. He says, next card I'll buy will be high refresh 1440, and it will need to run high settings for 2 generations at least. I mean, you're talking literally probably the pinnacle. So you're going to be looking at the high-end stuff, the $1,200 plus GPUs. I'm just hoping they have one that's not like 8 trillion watts. I'm putting the limit. I'm putting the limit on a GPU that I'm going to get. 300 watts is the max, boys. I have zero interest in a GPU that is over 300 watts. That's just ridiculous. So the Gigabyte DS3H is the worst motherboard of any generation. On 10th gen, can't even run advertised boost clocks on 10 non-100K. And no, it's not the CPU is too hot. Motherboard is. Yeah, well, like I said, I think I had the 410 of this brand or line or whatever. And it was fine with like a 10100. That's why I got it. I'm like, I've got the 12100. You know, that's not going to do anything. But your voltage tuning, basically you can't do proper memory overclocking because you don't have access to the features. I can't put voltage to the IMC on this. It's like, how the hell am I supposed to do memory overclocking on a motherboard that's supposed to have memory overclocking without having access to the things to do memory overclocking, which was just really annoying. So I was just like, hey, I'll tighten the timings. And then as you guys saw earlier in the stream, that had its own set of issues. You need a $3,000 board, bruh. Yeah, considering I'm the guy who's like, if it's over $100, I really don't want to buy it. I mean, I got an Asus Maximus behind me that I got for like 80 bucks, 75. It's like, I'll wait like 10 years to get the super high-end motherboards at the price point I like, but the CPUs, that like the 12100 is just so cheap, it's like, shit, it's almost worth doing. Basically, this cost as much as my X99 system. That's why I wanted to do it. Is basically, if you're going to spend $220, $250-ish on a CPU and motherboard, which one's going to be better? Yeah, I just got to go get the MSI board. Let's just be honest. I got to get the MSI. It's like $130. I'm just hoping I can return this one and get cash. Connor saying 400 watts is his max. Everybody's going to have a max. Next generation, everybody's going to figure out what their max is. Me, I'm okay with 300. I used Vegas and R9 290s, and those were up to 300. I have the 1080 Ti that we're using here today. That is perfectly fine. So like a little higher than that seems acceptable, but I don't know. I might stretch it to like 320 for like a 3080, but I mean, it's just too high. We'll do it. Let's see. What all did you do in this stream? Well, because the motherboard wasn't working properly, I had to loosen timings. I just had to XMP it, and it's running at Gear 2, and you know how shit that is. I mean, everything ran fine thereafter, but considering the other day I had it running perfectly fine, stable. But regardless, we tested just a few games, because I can't use this for mainline content because the platform's just not running properly. So we did Cyberpunk, Watch Dogs, and Shadow of the Tomb Raider on the 1080 Ti, the 3060, and the 6600. So for you guys that are tuning in, I'm just going to go through the numbers again that we had. So these are average FPS and 1% low. So for the 1080 Ti on Watch Dogs, we had 91 and 71. And then the 3060 was 93 and 73. So 2 higher on both. We basically just call that a wash. And then the 6600 had 96 and 74. So compared to the 1080 Ti, I would say that's no longer a wash. We're kind of getting to realistic territory. Now, next to the 3060, I'd call that basically a wash. So if you wanted to say slight win for the 6600 and Watch Dogs, very minor, not too big of a deal. 1080 Ti and Cyberpunk. These are all 1080p high, by the way, high preset. We had 68 FPS and 55 on the 1% low. The 3060 came in at 72 and 57, so that's decent-ish bump up. Almost a wash, but I'd clearly give that for the 3060. And then the 6600 came in at 66 and 53. So it was a little bit lower than the 1080 Ti and Cyberpunk. So it performed the best in Watch Dogs, the worst in Cyberpunk. Gotta love AMD. Gotta love the consistency. And then in Shadow of the Tomb Raider 1080 Ti, it was 116 and 86. The 3060 was 112 and 87. So once again, virtually a wash. And then the 6600 was 102 and 79. So the 1080 Ti was clearly faster in that game next to the 6600. So the 6600 had Watch Dogs, 1080 Ti had Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and then Cyberpunk was a wash. And then the 3060 was kind of riding the middle. it was riding the middle in between. So overall, I'd say that one's the most consistent of the three. So that's basically what you missed. But we did it all live. You can obviously rewatch if you want to. But like I said, this was basically figure everything out and for me to kind of get used to how I do this. High end's really not worth it today. Never listen to tech deals. I mean, today it's really not. Not with the next generation just right around the corner. I mean, if they were like 25, 30% below MSRP at this point, where, you know, these things should be with like rebates, then maybe, but yeah, definitely not. Especially not with like 6950 XTs launching today. It's like, why would you buy that? Jiraiya, I think it's cheaper to get a 12600K and Z690 than a 12400 motherboard that supports B-clock overclocking. It is, yeah, but you don't need the overclocking. That's kind of the point. I did a poll. Shit, sorry guys, I didn't realize I was stuck here on here. I thought I was on my camera. See, once again, I'm kind of trying to get used to having to switch stuff around. But let's go to the YouTubes. And then the good old gamer. Let's look at some polls that I did here recently, because this is I'm going to be kind of catering to what the community is actually doing. Oh, I guess I have to vote. So what standard do you consider for DDR4 here today? For me, I consider it 3600. Nope. The community believes that 3200 is the standard, which is very strange, but okay. And then the other big one was what frame rate do you target? For me, I'm a 120 guy. Most people, 60, 100, somewhere around there. And then more interesting is people sub 60 FPS. In reality, all you really need to test, can it do 60 FPS? Yes or no? Can it do 120 FPS? Yes or no? And honestly, that's going to cover the overwhelming majority of people. These 3% of people, yeah, these are the guys that spend crazy money. So a lot of people want to target these guys, but these are really the only metrics that matter. And yeah, so I was thinking about doing benchmarks where I just cap to 60 and then cap to 120 and see if it just holds. And if that works, it's like, well, that's good enough. You light theme YouTube? I hate dark theme web pages. I don't like it. I was just arguing about how much AMD pisses me off with a friend. Well, Connor, I mean, if you want to jump on here, man, we can do the chat thing. I can just screen cap over here. You might not be able to see me. I don't think that would work, but. The community is misinformed. Yes, I hate dark mode. I do not like dark mode. Yeah, Neil's saying he likes dark when it's dark and light vice versa. I mean, that's fair too. All right. So Connor can't jump on. Figured if he wanted to talk about his chat. Well, we need to tune. I need to get you on here to do the tuning. Chris Unboxed podcast. Okay. He's mad, man. He likes light theme web pages. I think the fact that people think a consensus is a good thing is a problem. So if you think that everybody should think like you, that's more of a problem than light pages, I guess. So yeah, looks like we should wrap up here because I'm just kind of rambling and I really gotta. Navid saying he likes dark on mobile. See, I'm the opposite. I really couldn't stand it on mobile. Like desktop, it's okay. I just prefer light. But one day the GOG room tour, I'd have to clean. I'd have to clean. But once I get the retro setup going, so I still have that CRT just sitting in my garage. I have to set it up. I got the old Altec Lansing speakers. That'll go over here. I have the NEC mechanical keyboard. It's the same as the IBM, just way cheaper. So get that. And then I'm going to use the MX 518, the old Logitech. Now, granted, that's much newer than the other stuff that I'll be putting over here, but I need a decent mouse. And then I'm going to have basically everything run by one PC. I'll have like an entire PC set up over here, all of this, and it's going to be run by one PC. It's going to be kind of cool. So once that's set up, yeah, maybe I'll do the room tour because like I just got computers all over the place. There's hardware and boxes behind me. Yeah, I went nuts, boys. I went nuts buying stuff for this because I want to test a lot of things because a lot of the guys out there, you know, I don't know. I see it even with Hub. Like, I love Steve and Tim and those guys, but even they're like, well, you know, today I wouldn't buy anything less than like a Ryzen 5600. I got a $40 6-core 12-thread Extreme Edition Intel CPU, Sandy Bridge CPU, and it's beating Zen 2. I already have it beating the 3700X, and I still got room to go. So it's like, you can't beat that. There are way better options out there. We just got to find them. And the Gigabyte motherboard here, the B660M DS3H, is not one of them. So we definitely know that for sure. I guess my eyes are just so used to it. I've, you know, light mode forever, so it doesn't hurt my eyes. I also keep it kind of bright in here, so it doesn't really matter. Like, if I'm working, I still have a lot of my studio lights on. Not the ones that are right in my face, but all the rest to brighten up the room. Chirpy's like, wow, still alive. Well, I mean, it's been, was it 1 o'clock? When did we start? 10:30-ish? Yeah. Benchmarking goes by pretty quick, man, once you're doing a thing. But yeah, I'm going to head on out of here. I got to figure this thing out. We'll be back Thursday for sure. I might do one tomorrow. Like I was telling the guys, there'll be random ones that pop up because basically it's just me doing my work. You guys are just hanging out. Obviously, this is a little bit slower, so if I need to get something done in crunch time, I'll probably just do it myself. Or I'll just ignore chat a little bit more and be like, hey guys, we got to get a thing done. But yeah, so keep your eyes open, hit the notification bell. You might get 1 hour's notice sometimes, but Tuesdays and Thursdays will be the ones that are set. Will happen every time. So if you want to be like, oh, when should I show up for this? Always going to be Tuesdays and Thursdays. It'll be 11 to 11:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here in the U.S. And that'll fluctuate because it's all dependent on my kid. But yeah, like I said, with this channel, I could just throw it up whenever. So just keep your notifications on. Yeah, good night, guys. Nathan's asking if we'll do a Discord call this week. Yeah, I'll probably do that one night when, you know, I'm not planning on doing a stream, you know, because I can do that and I can work a little bit easier. Which, by the way, if you're not a Patreon member or a member, you can go to the Good Old Gamer channel, become a member, get into the Discord, and yeah, basically it's kind of like this except more interactive. But yeah, those are pretty random. I don't have a set day and time on that one. It's just, hey, I'm just going to jump in here and chat with the boys. Kind of similar to this. But alrighty, guys, you have a good night. See you Thursday. Well, actually, I'll see you tomorrow on the Techonomics podcast. Guaranteed. So if you're not subscribed over there, there are links down below. Make sure you do that. Got to do my shill stuff. I think most of you guys are over there, but if you're not, I'll be doing that live stream. I may do another one of these. Yeah, so I'll be around. Love you guys. Have a great night, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.